So, Cosmos. Welcome to this Cosmic Cavalcade, where I'll be covering the complete catalogue of this cracking chap. Anyway, we're starting off at the beginning with G1 Cosmos. As you can see, is, I'm not 100% sure which version this is. Here's the underside markings. Well, the copyright's already 4, so this may be retro. So, transformation then is dead simple. Slide these parts up and fold them around for the arms. Pull out the legs and fold them down. And then pull up the head, hence why the red paint on this part is so faded. At some point I might go and neaten this guy up a bit, paint up the eyes, that kind of thing, refresh the red. I don't know. I like him as he is. So, first things first, he do got the dump truck. Good for him, we stand. And yeah, very limited articulation, as you'd expect of this era. His arms going to fall down a bit. And that, for a while, was your boy. Until eventually, Classics came round, and this is the Takara 3-pack release. I got it as part of a larger buy, or there's a link up there for anyone curious. And this one is also simple enough that I can probably bypass any time-lapse, just because he's just, fold the legs from the back, and the other side. And fold them down. Torso folds around and plugs in, which reveals the head, and then the arms come down. Now, this guy is a different kind of cool, basically. He represented a paradigm shift for Cosmoses in general. I'll do a vehicle mode comparison and everything right at the end. Yeah, he was a paradigm shift for Cosmos in general, as, rather than the short, chunky boy, he was taller and thinner, and used the hero proportions a little more to his advantage for his shaping, even if it did result in slightly unusual arms. One figure that I don't own but would like to track down is iGear's take on this character, UFO, which looks like this, and was one of the first third-party versions of this guy, and in one of that early era of third-party figures, where everything was kind of aimed more at the Generations line than the fancy stuff. And nowadays it is mostly Masterpiece, admittedly. Anyway, fast forward a few years, again, to Thrilling 30, and this guy arrives, but not this guy specifically, as this is the Titans Return re-release. Hence, the underside is slightly retooled. He can plug into some combined limbs I don't own. And, it's a slightly different shade of green, and didn't come with a spaceship that turns into a gun that turns into a guy. Again, nice simple transformation, just take the fin, which has become... The fin was ubiquitous for a while, and I do quite like it, to be fair. Along with a kind of flat saucer design. We're all for body positivity on this channel. There's no wrong way to look like Cosmos. Again, just fold out the legs. Flip them around. Torso spins. Fin falls onto the back. Arms come down. And come down. And head, as is traditional, pulls up. And here we have Cosmos number 3, which is still one of my favourites, I'll be honest. This mold is a very easy time looking kind of sassy, which isn't remotely in character in, but I don't care. I like the look of it. This version showed up in the IW comics. I remember being really jazzed whenever he got any time on page. Don't really recall what he did. I know that he was in Phase 3 a bit here and there. Anyway, he can go join his comrades, as so far they're just getting bigger and bigger. Actually, let's probably move all three of these back to allow for more space. Tilt up a little because they do get a little bigger still, but not by much, because up next is the New Age one. A third-party Legends Cosmos. How could I resist? So the flight stand here splits into 3 parts. I believe it's a 5mm peg on the other side, so you can peg it into like a display into a proper flight stand and have the camera focus on it and have it go wah and levitate over stuff. Very cool. I'm not sure if the clear version of this came with this guy, but came with the repaint that we'll get to in a moment. So, transformation then. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Open up the front flap. Fold out the arms. Unpeg the legs from this section. Just take this and swivel it around to get it out of the way for the moment. Legs then fold up. And split. And swivel around. Come up to there. And that's the bottom half. Top half then. Crack this open. These 2 tabs on the side fold in. This whole part swiveled around to reveal the head. A very different way of doing things that, works really well, to be fair. Now these parts come up, and this section folds. Right, this is the only really tricky part, is getting everything past everything else here. Because these 2 come up, this folds around, and these 2 fold into the space occupied in vehicle mode by the tabs that we flipped in to get here. So, once we get everything lined up, everything is very slightly finicky, but New Age designed some really good stuff, and this guy is no exception. And fold up the butt flap. And here we go. Give him his arms. I mean, this guy has full articulation, basically. Or as far as you can get at this scale. You've got ball joint at the shoulder with enough outward motion. Ball joint at the elbow so you can get a good swivel. Swivel at the wrist. Head's on the ball joint. Hips, knees. Ankle tilt. And waist swivel for the transformation, but it works. So, this little guy, size-wise, is only very slightly taller than the original. Which, hang on a minute, let's bring them both in here a little more. Yeah, they're about, height-wise, not a lot in it. However, he can go there, as we are now taking a break from the Cosmic Cavalcade. So won't you stroll with me down the Pathfinder Promenade? So, this is the New Age release based on eHobby Pathfinder, which was a blue release of Cosmos based on, early catalogue scans that showed him in blue, which was a good colour scheme. I'm just going to transform her while I talk and explain, because it's a weird one, basically. They were identified originally, they were eHobby exclusives, so only available in Japan, and originally identified as part of a 6-pack, all of which were GoBots characters that Takara acquired the rights to, having acquired Tonka. However, they had the rights to the characters, but not the toys, as they were sold by Bandai. And so you wouldn't think that it'd be an issue to use one of their molds, one of their toys, as Pathfinder, a character that did not exist in Machine Robo, the line that became GoBots. Sorry, the legs really quite... Should probably look into loosening one of those pegs or something. And so you wouldn't think there'd be an issue with that, seeing as they own the rights to the character, and it was their mold, so they definitely own that. But the lawyers said no, and thus the only confirmation we have that they are based on GoBots characters is a series of basically one promotional image, which was used early on and then never again. And then several years later, on another continent, they showed up in, I believe it was FunPub at the time, that was doing the convention comics. And they showed up in some of the FunPub comics, finally as themselves. They used the names and colour schemes, but not specifically the toy designs. It was more kind of slightly more their own thing. Anyway, yeah, here we have Pathfinder. And she was originally a GoBot. I'm just going to put her over here. Actually, shift the camera this way a little bit, because this is going to get interesting right now. Because I also have G1 Pathfinder, or, well, original GoBots Pathfinder. Now, this gal is tricky to get hold of in this kind of condition, because, like, yeah, she's fairly scuffed, but both of the laser guns are a little bit bent, but fully intact. Usually one or both of these is snapped. I was lucky with this gal. So, transformation for her. Take the arms and fold them down. Fold this fold this assembly on the back, which gives you enough space to swing the legs into place. Fold it the rest of the way, and that's the arms. Then fold the top part up to form the head. With the head forwards, we fine-tune the proportions, and there we have our gal Pathfinder. She looks great, honestly. This, like, that's the thing, though, about Machine Robo and about GoBots. They were really, really well engineered. Like, I got some more to do a video on at some point, because some of them are genuinely brilliant, you know, for the time and the scale. So, let's go ahead and compare her with her contemporary and her modern counterpart. Really hoping we get the Speedia 500 Cosmos mold as this gal at some point. Pathfinder is a woman. The thing about GoBots, some of them were girls. Just going to the camera this time. And speaking of Speedia Cosmos, here he is. Now, this is a ray gun that I cobbled together from various other things and 3D printed. Part of the fin snapped off from me to redesign it a little bit. You know, maybe just the angle on the handle a bit. It doesn't look quite right when it's being held. So, transformation for this guy. First things first, come to the sides. Pull them out and just sort of leave them for the moment. Feet. Untab from each other. These side flaps flap out. The whole hips come down, around, lock into place. Foot folds down, and this side piece swings around. Foot folds down. Side piece swings. Straighten up, and bottom half is done. I mean, in theory, you could call this a go walk mode, but I don't know why you'd want to. Actually, how can I get both of these plugged back in? Yeah, I guess that's go walk. Anyway, undo that silliness. Leave these flipped out. Pull this section away. And swivel it. Collapse this. And fold this into there. And then these come out on these little armatures and lock over those. Hands flip out. And seeing as this is a modern Transformers figure, there are of course various panel cover sets for this guy. I haven't picked one up. I might eventually. And finally, the head just flips over and give him his 3D printed space gun. So, he is of course the setting aside the third-party stuff for the moment, he's of course the largest of these four, which means that every Cosmos has been released has been slightly larger than all the previous ones, which means that someday Oh yes, someday we will get a retool Titan class Arc into Titan class Cosmos. I long for that day. So, yeah, bring back in the third party ones. Oh, let's put these two in front of him, seeing as they're the same mold. And Pathfinder over here, beside Cosmos. So, Cosmos is great, basically. I mean, for whatever reason, he crash landed on Earth, he turns up on Earth, and decides to disguise himself as an incredibly conspicuous vehicle. You know, we love that kind of energy here. Pathfinder at least had the excuse of, like, yeah, she just looks like that. With Cosmos, it's like, no, I'm specifically going to become a 1950s flying saucer. Some continuities, it's fair enough, he landed on a B-movie set and didn't know that he was scanning something that was a prop and not like an actual thing. The rest of the time, he's just a mad lad, and we love that here. Closing thoughts. Which of these is the best? Honestly, for the smaller scale stuff, it's obviously going to be New Age. For the kind of mid-scale, this guy, unsurprisingly. The retro stuff, Pathfinder is kind of the better figure. Controversial, but I don't care. And modern, it is, of course, Speedier Cosmos right here. I do have his weapon. It's just in use with another figure. I'll probably show it when I get to... I want to cover that kind of video eventually anyway, so I'll get to it when I get to it. Yeah, that about covers things here, I suppose. There are various third-party Masterpiece Cosmos, but all of them look kind of the same to me, and like I'm not super interested in them. I don't collect Masterpiece scale. It doesn't really seem worth it just for like one guy where none of the figures 100% are what I'd want from Masterpiece Cosmos. So, anyway, this has been Lucas Builds. I will see you next time with... You know what? Next time I might just cover one of Pathfinder's buddies from that 6-pack. Maybe two of them, actually. Maybe more, maybe less. We'll see. Bye.